What's up, everybody? Welcome to my Facebook Live, my YouTube page, and my podcast. I want to welcome you guys out. If you're watching this live, do me a big favor and share this broadcast to as many people as you can. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to go in the comment section below and comment. Let me know what you're getting from both people, from Facebook Live and YouTube. Let me know what you got from this message. I love to see your comments, and I'm going to do my best to jump in there. But if you're listening on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud, I want to say thank you guys so much for listening. If you want these messages in streaming form, you can do so wherever you podcast. Just simply search for my name, Joshua Ezzy. But I have this message that I received after my nap, my Friday afternoon nap, that I really think that's important. I posted a status not too long ago about does your preparation match what your prayer request? And so it kind of spawned this idea of a couple of points in my book that I want to share today. But let's get right into it. The problem: many people are matching or endeavoring or not matching prayer requests or the people that they're asking to be matched with. A lot of people are not doing what it takes to prepare or to match with their prayer request or the person. This leads to unbalance, confusion, and hurt. Let's do that again. People are not matching their prayer requests or the people they are currently with. There we go. People are not matching their prayer requests or the people they are currently with, which leads to unbalance, confusion, and hurt. So many people are trying to match themselves or latch themselves to something they know deep down inside they do not match. God is looking for people who are willing to prepare themselves for the prayer request they're asking for. But many people are asking God for things knowing deep down inside it's for carnal reasons. God's not going to answer any prayer request of yours, nor is he going to match you with any individual that he knows that you're not whole enough to steward. God is looking for people who have the right perspective, who are willing to be patient, who are willing to prepare for whatever that they're asking for in his life. God is not trying to make this life a life of hell for you. He's not trying to make a life where you do not enjoy it, but God is a God of order. If you want God to order your steps, make sure that your life is in order. If you want God to do things in your life effectively and efficiently, you got to make sure that your life is in order. But so many people have been on their knees long and long and long, night after night, asking and begging God for something that they're not willing to put any work equity in. They're not willing to put any preparation in. And the reason why many people are at this stage of their life is because, number one, they lack perspective. Number one, they lack perspective. Perspective is key in life. Self-examination is key in life. In order for me to match whatever I'm praying for God for, or to make sure that I match a person that God has for me, I got to make sure I have the right perspective. But before I even have the right perspective, I have to, number one, make sure I have the right position. I have to position myself in the presence of God every single day to ensure that I'm in position enough for him to pour the renewing type of water flow, to ensure that my mind is constantly being renewed. The Bible says that we're transformed by the renewing of our minds. If your mind hasn't changed for years, why would God match you with something that you are not mentally prepared enough to handle? The greatest gift that God gave us outside of any other thing that was created was a mind. He gave us a mind, but the number one thing that he gifted us with is also our that leads to most of our detriment. The reason why many of us are where we are today is because our minds have not been renewed, and we allowing ourselves to conform to an image. Right now, you are either one of two images. Either you're transforming into the image of Jesus, or you're conforming into the image of Satan. It's all based upon where your mind is. And when you say, God, position me, and I'm going to ensure that I stay at this patch of land, that I'm going to stay right here in your presence, so that over time my perspectives change. What I prayed for at 17, what I prayed for at 22, I wasn't ready for. But I'm so glad that God was such a father. Many of us want a sugar daddy, but we don't want a father. We want a sugar daddy that gives us everything that we want. Sugar and a daddy that's giving us everything that we desire versus a father. A father knows what's best for you. And that's why you got to be very careful what you do when you're mad at God. Because many people get so upset with God because God's ways are established. God's character is established. And he's not going to budge one moment, 1 minute beyond his character. And with that being said, so many people leave that patch of land, leave God's presence, their perspectives begin to change, and impatience begins to birth, and it leads for them not to prepare prepare, but they boast as if they're able. Listen. Many people want the idea of something. They want the idea of success, or the idea of a relationship, or the idea, but people forget that when you actually get the item and the individual, they both require work. Oh man, the items that we pray for, the individuals, or the idea of a person we want, we are formulating an expectation that sometimes is far above the actual person. You got to get to a place where you say, God, I'm going to get rid of the ideologies of that the conforming process of Satan has birthed in my mind, and I'm going to allow myself to be positioned by you so that my perspectives will change, so that I'll actually see, I don't even match what I'm asking God for. Instead of saying, God, give me this, say, God, give me the grace to grow for this. God, give me the grace to match this. Give me the grace. If you want this kind of man, if you want this kind of woman, if you want this kind of life, instead of begging God for it, just say, God, give me the grace to grow, to match this person, to match this idea, to match whatever that you have destined for me in this life. But when you're not positioned and your perspectives are not being renewed, then you won't allow patience to have her perfect work. I love that verse. You heard me say it many times in other videos, but what I said was the key word in James in that verse is the word let. We have to let patience have her perfect work. The reason why patience doesn't have her perfect work, we're not really willing to be patient. And what I mean by a patient, in order for a doctor to work on a patient, that patient has to be still. And in order for that, for the work, the process of the surgery to be manifest, or the healing process, that patient has to be patient and allow the flow of God, to allow the healing process happens. Everything in life has a set governed time period of patience that warrants that thing's maturity. And if you're not willing to let patience have her perfect work, then your perspectives will push you into a place that you're not prepared for. In order for me to match something or someone that I'm praying for or that I'm pursuing as a man, I gotta make sure that I am positioned, that I have the right perspective, that I'm allowing patience to have her perfect work, and that I am putting the work in as far as preparation. What are you asking God for? Is the person you with right now, do y'all match? Is this a match made in heaven, or is this a match made here on earth? See, we got to make sure that we are allowing God to play the match game for us. You know, when you play the match game, you turn all the time and you're trying to find the match. That's what many of us do in relationships. What we do is we just keep flipping cards. Well, she didn't match. Okay, we just keep flipping cards. But we got to let God play the game for us. He has to make sure. We have to allow him to make the match. Let's get into some points. Like I said before, people are not matching their prayer requests or the people they are currently with, leading to unbalance, confusion, and hurt. When a person has been mismatched with someone or something that God never intended for them to be with or to have, it will cause unbalance in their life, confusion in their mind, and eventually lead them to hurt. Some of you guys right now are in relationships with someone. We're not talking about married people. Married people, if you in that, you gotta stick with it and pray that God either opens the door for healing or etc. But we're talking about those who's out here in relationships with someone that you know deep down inside that ain't the one for you. Deep down inside, you know y'all don't match. Y'all are a mismatch. And when you know that you're a mismatch, you got to set a match to it. If you know you in a mismatch, you got to set a match to that thing, allow that thing to burn and purify and remove yourself from it. Because if not, and if you don't do it and you try to match and you try to force it and you try to latch yourself to it, then you're going to only find yourself unbalanced, because his vision is not your vision. Her mission is not your mission. Your pursuit is not her pursuit. And it's going to cause confusion because you thought, and so many of us are in relationships that we thought God confirmed. Everyone's looking for God to confirm stuff. Like God doesn't confirm. God doesn't confirm in the area of your emotion. Many people think that I feel like this is who God has for me. I feel like this is my season. Feelings are the most confusing thing of the human experience. It's just an indicator of a present mood. We're talking about a deep groaning, a deep voice from a deep connection that signifies that the Lord has spoken to your life. And God will give you as many confirmations as you need to ensure that that person or that season is for you. But many of us, we force it through feeling, and we grieve the Holy Spirit, and we don't allow his voice to be the loudest in our life. And we get these emotional feelings from a mental confused place because of our loneliness and our need for companionship. And from that place, we begin to latch onto things that we do not match. Fellas, do not catch something you don't match. Ladies, don't latch on anything that you don't match. We got to get into a place that we ask ourselves, God, do I match you? Do we match? Are we in a thriving relationship? If you're not content in your relationship with God, God is not going to partner you with someone else. If you're not content in this season, you're not going to be ready for that season. Everything boils all the way back to you and God. It's a heart condition. We have a problem. Our heart, we idolize. We are inclined to sin. We have an issue in our heart. Even the holiest of holies, even the people who are in the top positions of Christianity, we all have a heart issue. That's why I got to always stay anchored, because I can't trust myself. I can't trust my heart. I'm going to always ask God, God, I'm ready for this. And God, like, no, you're not ready. And many of us are reaching for a place that we're not ready for. We are reaching from a place of discontentment, reaching from a place from a poor relationship with God. And anything that you reach for from a place that you're not connected to your ultimate source, you're going to find yourself burnt out. Many people are only living off of their equity. They're living off of their own energy. No, relationships and life and success requires a supernatural flow of the Holy Ghost in your life that's on its mission. That's why in order for me to even think about latching on or catching something in the future of my life, I got to make sure that I'm fine-tuned and in tune with the mission of God. Because if I know his mission for my life, I won't miss anything that he has for me in my life. And so many of us are unbalanced, confused, and are on our way to being hurt or are currently hurt because we are reaching for something that we know deep down inside I do not match. I guarantee it. A person who loves themselves, a person who loves God, is not going to catch you if you don't match him. It's not going to latch onto you if you don't match him. And so what happens is we reach out for the ideal person. But when that person looks at you and say, we don't match, then you fall into a settlement place where you settle outside of the will of God because you are too lazy to work for it. Listen, whatever you're not willing to work for, you won't be able to keep. And you got to get into a place in your life where you say, I'm not going to ask you about this no more, Father. I'm not even going to think about it anymore. I'm just going to allow myself to be transformed in the renewing of my mind in the position where all joy is fulfilled, and that's in your presence, God. And that's why I'm challenging you to ask yourself the question, the person you're with right now, do y'all match? Do y'all have chemistry? Were y'all a match made in heaven? Are you pursuing a career or season that you know you don't match? Are you wasting your 5-minute prayers? You know, many of us don't pray more than 5 minutes. Are you wasting your 5-minute prayers asking God for something that if you just simply self-examine your heart, you will realize you are not ready for new levels, new devils, and them devils on that next level is looking for people who are immaturely leveled up so they can devour you. And we got to get into a place where we say, God, I'm in place with you. This is how Satan causes mismatches. Mismatches. The enemy of our lives wants us mismatched. He doesn't want us with an equal match. He doesn't want us with someone that was designed by God for you to be with. So how does Satan cause a mismatch? And then I'm gonna give you 5 points to ask your spouse or your significant other where you guys match. This is how Satan causes mismatches. Number one, he dispatches. He dispatches. He understands, hey, she's vulnerable, he's vulnerable, let's dispatch. Let's dispatch a person. Let's dispatch the idea. Let's dispatch thoughts in her mind. Let's just send things her way to cause unbalance, to cause confusion, to cause her not to trust God. Let's dispatch ideologies. Let's plant seeds in her mind, seeds in his mind. The enemy loves dispatching witty and creative ideologies and perspectives into your place of influence, dispatching hate in your mom to bring your way, dispatching abandonment abandonment in your life to cause you into deep emotional need, because from that dispatchment and those enemies coming around your life, it will cause, its goal is to detach you from God. He dispatches things that are tailored to you to do its job in order to detach you from your presence of God. You got to be very careful what you entertain, because the things you entertain are either bringing you into the patch or it's detaching you. It's setting you away. Anything that's not pushing you to God, you got to push out of your life. That's real. If you want true success in this life, you got to push out anything that's not pushing you to God, because the enemy is going to continue to dispatch things in your life to cause you to get into a mental confused state, an emotional depraved state, or deepen it, to cause a detachment between you and God. He doesn't want you in the presence of God. He doesn't want you to build yourself up in your prayer life. He doesn't want you to worship. He doesn't want you to have a lifestyle of it. He don't want God to be the gleam of your eye, the apple of your eye, the centerpiece of your vision, the pursuit of your love. He doesn't want that. So he dispatches anything that he knows that has the greatest opportunity to detach you from God. And once he detaches you from God, he'll send the right person or the right thing to cause you to become attached to. He doesn't want you attached to God. He wants you detached. Because if he can detach you from God and attach you into another idol, and to attach you to, because we all know when that ideal person come into our life, he knows when a person is lonely and a person is not content in God, all you gotta bring is a counterfeit or a replica of the idea that you've been feeding that person, and that person will begin to be in such an infatuated state that they'll reach out for that thing and they'll hug on that thing and become attached. And some of us are attached to spiritual suicide bombers that all their whole purpose is with a time clock on it. They're only in love with you demonically. They only like you demonically. Listen to me, I'm putting you on game. The people that are all out of nowhere interested in you, and the favor that's coming out of nowhere towards you, they have a time limit on it. They are ticking, that when the last second to the last hour happens, they all of a sudden wake up and be like, I don't want you no more. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone that in the beginning loved you and the relationship was going good, and then out of nowhere, I don't like you no more? What? How do we have such, but we have such chemistry, we have such intimacy, we have such love, and then out of nowhere that thing looks you in the eye with coldness in it and coldness in its veins, looking at you saying, I don't want you anymore. He wants you to attach yourself to something with a time frame on it, because he knows when that thing has fulfilled its assignment, it has taken your virginity, it has given you an STD, it has caused you to be hurt, it done messed up your credit, it done messed up your car, it done caused you confusion, it had you high and low and you emotionally unstable. Once it has finished its assignment, it leaves. If I dispatch things into your mind to cause you to detach you from God, and then cause you to be attached to something that is mismatched for you, it's going to destroy you. He knows all I got to do is to get you into a place of discontentment. The presence of the Lord is where the joy is. And I'm telling you, so many of us, our prayers are a reflection of us really not being in love with God. We don't love him like we say we love him. And we don't love him like we think we love him. Because if we did, we would be praying differently. We'll be preparing differently. Because when you really want to be a husband after God, a wife after God's own heart, a mother and a father after God's own heart, a minister, a business owner after God's own heart, you will prepare accordingly, because you know you're going to be holding something holy and you want to present before God a person prepared. That's my mission in life. My goal in life is what John the Baptist, JB, said back in the Bible days, to present to God a people prepared. I don't got time to preach all fairy tales and interesting stories that ain't real, that ain't gonna birth anything really. Y'all, I'm gonna give you tools and resources and preach with an anointing in my life to ensure that his deepness has pierced into your heart, to build such a love for God that you actually grow and be prepared for it. Because when you get into marriage and you get into ministry, you get into business, and you know you're not mature enough, that thing will break you. So many people fellas are trying to catch a woman, catch a thing they don't match, or ladies are trying to latch onto something they don't match, because their hearts are not really in love with God. Like I said before, in order for us to understand what it means to match something, we have to be positioned, we have to have the right perspective, we have to elect patience, and we have to work and prepare for it. Let's talk about 5 things you and your significant other must match in. This is for relationship purposes. That's not even in my book. This is something new today that I wish that I put in there. There's 5 things that you and your significant other, we're talking about relationships right now, that y'all need to match. Number 1, M. Y'all have to match in maturity and in mission. In order for your relationship not to become unbalanced, confusing, or hurtful. Now, I'm not sitting there saying that you guys are always going to be perfect. I'm not saying that. That's going to be because it's 2 people sharing one thing. That's why I always make sure God is in my relationship. I got to make sure God is in my life and that God is the center focus of my relationship right now, because when I get married, I do not want my areas of poverty, my areas of lack of preparation, my areas of lack of discipline to corrode a woman who I pursued into my life. We got to do a better job in making sure that we are mature and that our missions are connected. Now, what about what I mean by that? Maturity means wholeness. Like I've said in many videos, don't ask for a better half, ask for equal whole. Many people are saying she's my better half, he's my better half. A lot of ladies don't say that. Men say that because they probably got in some trouble. They be like, no, she's my better half. They try to make her feel. But what I'm saying is, anything that's a better half, that means the other side is broken. If you're asking for a better half, then it's showing you that you must be broken. You need to be asking for an equal whole, something that complements me, something that's whole, something that, see, like I said in another video, many people are looking to be completed but not complemented. But then many people are getting into companionships and relationships without being completed by God. Being completed by God doesn't mean perfection. It means prepared. It means able. It means willing and actually able to do the job. If you can't be a husband, don't be one. If you ain't a wife, don't be one. You gotta be it before you be it. And people don't understand it. God makes you into a husband before you even a husband. He makes you into a wife before you even a wife. You don't become a wife the moment you say I do. You become a wife when you are actually in a marriage and in a connection with God. You don't become a husband overnight by saying I do. You actually are being tested in the preparation that you either acquired or didn't acquire. And so many people, I do, and you ain't even 1% of a husband. You're not even 3% of a wife. And then when you get into that pressure cooker called marriage, it's going to test the foundation of you both. And that's why y'all divorced in 3 years. Y'all can't stay together for 10 years because God wasn't even in your single life. How can you expect God to be king of your marriage if he ain't even king of your soul? And so many people are jumping into what he created. Many people get mad at marriage. People don't break marriage, baby girl. Young man, nobody breaks marriage. Marriage breaks people. Anything holy breaks is the unholy. That's why you got to be holy on the inside with the Spirit of God and dependent on him so that you'll be able to handle the weight of marriage. That's why I take marriage seriously. We went through 4 years of courting because I don't got time. Listen, I'm one and done. Call me a player from Kentucky. I'm one and done. I don't got time to be messing up stuff and mix matching with someone that wasn't made for me. That's why I tell people, man, you better make sure you find the grace of God, because God will then connect you with a person that has the grace for you. And so many of us are not mature. We're still acting goofy and crazy and acting like kids. When are you going to put away childish things? You got to put away that childish things before you go into what men and women can handle. Maturity is not perfection. It's preparedness. You're not going to be perfect. But when you got the perfect one in it, and you're prepared and you're strong, then you're able to step into the uncertain places of love. Because she's going to change, bruh. He's going to change, girl. And some of you guys are putting idealistic expectations on her. Now from your single life, you done created this ideal woman. You done created this ideal man. And then you are now expecting him or her to meet those expectations. You asking that person to meet expectations that you don't even meet in your own life. And God is looking for people who is saying, God, I'll stay single for however long. I'll prepare for however long, because I know, Father, you have a mission, not just for me, but for us. God has a mission for your relationship. Does your relationship right now have a mission statement? Does it? What's y'all's mission? What are your desired outcomes? What do you want to see in your life? That's what my game is for. Dating prep, I ask questions. What do you want to see on your family tree? In my book, in my dating prep book, I talk about what branches have you pruned? Like, this thing is real. What is your desired outcomes? What are your goals for the next 5 years in this relationship? What is your goals in the next 10 years? What do you want your relationship to be known for in these streets? That's why I tell every lady, before you take on his last name, take care of your first name. Fellas, before you give her your last name, make sure that last name is worth having. It's that simple. Ladies, before you take on his last name, make sure you know your first name. Know who you are as an individual. And fellas, before you just start throwing your last name around, before you start trying to give your last name out, is your last name worth something? In these streets, listen, Ezzy is known well in these streets. I mean, listen, Ezzy's a good name to have. My wife, she know that Ezzy's a good name. And I don't care what my history has been. I am building that last name so I can make my future children who has to hold that last name. I want them proud of it. But I'm telling y'all, God has a mission for you two. And if you don't know your mission, then you're going to be connected to a person's mission, and you will sacrifice your mission for their mission, and you will find yourself unbalanced, confused, and hurt, when all you had to do was say, what is the mission you have for me in my life? Look at that person right now, and look at your prayer request, and ask yourself, am I mature enough for what I'm asking God for? And when you look at that person, you have that conversation, when y'all go out to eat, y'all going to wherever y'all go out to eat tonight, just really observe and really say, do we match in maturity? Are you ready? And even look at your heart and ask yourself, am I ready? And if you're married right now, and y'all engaged right now, and y'all pursuing that next level, you better start writing down your mission statement. Now, how do you write your mission statement down? How do you find it? Number one, you got to say, what are the desired outcomes of our relationship? What do we desire to be the outcomes of our relationship? What do we want to be known for? Who are the people we're supposed to reach? How are we supposed to reach them? What is God's focus for us in this marriage? Not just externally as far as outside of your relationship, but internally. What do you want to be known for? It's important to say, what are our desired outcomes? When we get married, since we are married, for those who are married, you got to say, okay, when we step out of this house, what do we want us and our name to be known for? Just like my personal mission statement, I ain't gonna tell you ours because that's ours. But the goal about life is to say, okay, this is our mission. These are the people we're supposed to reach. This is how we're supposed to reach them. These are the type of children we want to have. This is the type of culture that we want to have. This is all that different stuff is important. And when you have that in place, then y'all all have a focus. Number two, do y'all match in association and acknowledgement? Association and acknowledgement. What I mean by association, I'm talking about relationship with God. Do y'all match? I'm not sitting there saying y'all match perfectly, but don't you want to be with someone that either inspires your relationship with God? You want somebody that inspires your relationship with God, not expires it. Okay? You want somebody that inspires your relationship with God. You don't want somebody that expires it. What I mean by expire it, they soak up your time. They draw you away from God. You want somebody when you wake up and you about to make that man some eggs, that man travailed on the ground before the Lord. You want to be able to wake up, young man, and you hear your wife praying in the closet, praying over you. You want somebody that makes you want to get up and read, makes you want to get up and pray when you find it the hardest to pray. You want somebody that's electric in their relationship with God, that y'all both help each other, that y'all are focused and in love with God to the point to where every given moment, every given opportunity, y'all two would do whatever it takes to build your association with God. If you are ashamed of him now, you will be ashamed of him in your relationship. And so many of us are ashamed of the name of Jesus because we don't want Jesus in our life, because we don't want to get rid of the hidden stuff in our lives. And you got to make sure y'all are matching acknowledgement. Are y'all both willing to admit when you're wrong? Are y'all both willing to confess? To acknowledge where you can grow, to acknowledge the areas that you plan to grow in, to acknowledge that so many of us, we are too proud. Prideness kills people in relationships. Pride cannot survive in a marriage. You have to be humble. Acknowledgement is saying, babe, you're right. I acknowledge that. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to make an effort to get that out of my life. I acknowledge that I need to do better in this area, that I'm acknowledged before the Father. Acknowledgement, because the Bible says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not into your own understandings, but in all your ways acknowledge him. That we're always going to, as a couple, we're going to acknowledge God in our moves. Before we move to the city, we're going to acknowledge God. Before we make a decision with our money, we're going to acknowledge God. Before we think about children, we're going to always acknowledge, bringing God, asking for knowledge to come in his wisdom into our relationship. And also the double entendre is, I'm going to make sure I create a culture of confession and acknowledgement so I can be able to say, you know what, I'm wrong in that area and I'm going to grow in that area. If y'all don't match in that, and he's tight-lipped and you loose-lipped, and y'all trying to build a chemistry together, and y'all are making moves without acknowledge God, he done bought him a Bugatti and he didn't even talk to you and God about it. He done bought him toys, and she done bought her bags and shoes, and she's not on mission. She's not on focus. He's not on mission. He's not on focus. And y'all just going loose. That'll break the relationship. Y'all have to match an association. Do you love God as much as I do, or if not more? If not, then I cannot even entertain the opportunity to love you. Because if I love you and you're not in love with God, then my infatuation for you will lure me away from God, keeping me from growing, keeping me from maturing. Next, the T, M-A-T. Do y'all match in theology and in toil? Do y'all match in theology and toil? How can two walk together unless they be agreed? Do y'all have the right theology? Do you believe this aspect of the faith? Does he believe another? Y'all got to make sure y'all come as a part of my game. It's called Theos for Theology. These are questions that you ask your significant other in regards to theology. Where are you on the stance as Jesus being God? Where are you when it comes to prayer? When it comes to you about church? What does it come to? And so many people are marrying to people who are church hurt. And then when you're trying to be in a local community, a local fellowship, they stay at home, which adds a stain onto the relationship, because also, fellas, you got to be careful. You better go to church with her. You over there staying at home watching football, and she over here. Listen, so many people are in unbalanced relationship, causing good people to be tempted to cheating. It's not always bad people who fall into the mindset or entertain the thoughts of cheating. I'm not saying about cheating is wrong across the board, but some of us are forcing our couple to cheat. We're called, not even, they may love you strong enough not to teach them not to cheat with you in hand, but they could be entertaining the opportunity to cheat against you in heart. You at home watching football, she at church seeing a bunch of men worshiping God. It's going to open her up to be tempted to cheat in heart, which could lead her to cheat in hand. Or if you too busy doing this and your husband is out here and you lost, like what happens? Both parties, the man gains all this weight. That's why I'm telling y'all better match and and toil and working out. Listen, y'all got to be honest. How I married you is how I married you. Listen, you let go for what? You better let go and let God. You better let go of that weight and let God. You better get in that gym, let go and let Jim. You better let go of that weight and let the gym. I married you like this. Why you let yourself go? This ain't who I married. You see what I'm saying? So what we got to get an understanding is we got to say, hey, we got to match, because how I met you is how I want to keep you. But so many people let ourselves go. Well, I got you now. You mine now. Sound all fat in the throat. I got you now. You done let yourself go. And now that man got to walk to his job and he travels. And you over there let yourself go. I'm not sitting there picking on big people. I'm not saying that. But I'm talking about when a person met you at a certain way and then you let yourself go. You're opening the door for them to be vulnerable to cheat. How can they were sexually attracted to the person they said I do to. Now you don't. Now you after he done said I do. Now you saying I don't. I don't do that no more. I don't work out no more because I got you. I don't eat right no more because I got you. No. Listen. What do we say that I do? What I'm trying to say is, you got to make sure that y'all are progressively. Now, come on. I'm not sitting there saying if you're going through a tough time, young lady, and things happen. I'm talking about people who intentionally don't care. They let themselves. I'm not talking about. Listen, fellas, you got to be patient with your woman. Your woman's going to go through changes. I'm not sitting there saying you let your woman go because she gained 5 pounds. No, what I'm saying, I'm talking about a person who just says, I have the opportunity and I'm mentally healthy enough to go to the gym, but I choose not to. We're talking about someone who's just saying, I'm letting myself go and I don't care what you think. That's why we got to be progressive in toiling. I'm going to make sure I'm going to get my body right. I'm going to make sure my mind is right. I'm going to make sure I'm going to toil. Because if our theology doesn't match, if we don't match in chemistry anymore, then I'm going to open the door for you to fall. But that's when the love bonds, when you got God in there. Listen, fellas, ladies, if you want to see change in your man, present that change. You go to the gym. You start doing your thing and inspire them. You encourage them. We're talking about if they're going through a season, their mom just died, their dad just died, and they're going through a season. That's when you crank up the gear and say, I'm going to toil for you, baby. I'm going to encourage you, girl. You look good, girl. We're going to work this thing out, man, babe, husband. I know you're going through this, but I love you anyhow. And we're talking about people just going through a tough time that you're willing to toil for them and to help them get through. But you got to make sure y'all match in theology. Do y'all match? Do y'all believe the same things? We're not talking about what he shows you or what she shows you, because everybody loves God when y'all first meet. Everybody loves God when y'all first meet, but not everybody's willing to live that thing. You don't know what you have until you got it. That's why you got to look at the person, observe that person, and really see, do they lifestyle matches the things they sprayed out of their lips? Do they lifestyle match their lip style? Because everybody got a good lip style. They good with the lips. They just talk and it sounds good. But do they lifestyle matches their lip style? Do y'all match in toil? Are y'all willing to progress? Are y'all willing to work forward? Are y'all willing to grow? Are y'all willing to? Because, man, what I know for a fact is when you in something that God has put you with, it's going to take work. Demons ain't going to make marriage easy. Y'all got to know how to work through stuff. Listen, man, if that brother can't pray, if she can't pray, woo, y'all talking about can she throw it back and can he provide? Y'all talk about all that stuff. Y'all think all that stuff is cute, fine, and cuddly. That's great. But what about the spiritual components? When test comes against your relationship, when trials knock at the door of your relationship, do y'all run and cry? Ladies, you don't want no man who run behind you. You want a man that says, I don't care who's coming against us. As far as me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. As far as me and my house, we are prepared and provided for. God is going to provide all of our needs according to our riches. You need a person that when tough time comes, that spirit kicks into gear and they're able to do that thing. But y'all got to make sure y'all matching that toil and that theology. Number 4C, y'all got to make sure y'all match in commitment and in care. I have chemistry here too. Matching chemistry. Now let's talk about chemistry. Two things I wasn't really good in chemistry class, but I knew 2 types of chemistry. Either 2 things come together and create something beneficial like water and oxygen, or 2 things can come together and create carbon monoxide. You got to make sure that y'all chemistry match, because some of y'all relationships are creating explosions. It's creating explosions and not creating things of use. Oxygen and water are useful things, but some of us are creating things like carbon monoxide that is choking the person in the relationship, killing them silently. And when you match yourself with someone that you don't match in chemistry, you're going to explode eventually. And that's why you got to let God match you with the right components so that when the chemistry comes together, that thing does not combust and explode, but that thing brings water and oxygen and brings life to other things. And some of us are connecting ourselves with things that when y'all come together, you explode. Everybody has chemistry, but not everybody is actually efficient. So everybody can. Like, there's a lot of people you're gonna have chemistry with. Oh man, that felt good. We connect, girl. Ooh, we connect. You know, yo, man, yo, I think she the one. You know, guys, we be looking at the sun, man, she the one, bro. We just be out there in space. But not knowing that when those two touch at a deeper level, it's going to explode. Do you guys match in chemistry? Do y'all bring oxygen and water and life to things? Or do when y'all come together, things explode? You also got to match in care. Like, care means like selfless love. Selfishness is a torpedo that always sinks relationships. And so many of us are selfish at our core, and we are destroying each other from the inside out. Are you selfless? Can you really care for that person if they go through a disease experience? Would you care for them when they go through a death in their life? Can you actually care? And does that person care for you? So many of us are unbalanced in the care compartment. You don't care about her like she cares about you. And what happens is when you bring too much care to a relationship, but they don't care for you, you end up depleted. You end up empty because you're always pouring and that person doesn't pour in you. But the beautiful thing about us is that we have someone, God, with a huge vase that pours into us, so that when we pour into each other, we're never running empty. In order for me to love her the way she needs to be loved, I gotta always be up under God's picture and him pouring more love in me, because in flesh alone, I can't love her. In flesh alone, I cannot be patient with her. In flesh alone, I cannot. But when I'm up under God's vase and he's pouring that love and patience in me, then when I pour into her, I know that she's gonna be fulfilled and established from my role as a husband, and vice versa, that I know that she's up under God and that she's willing to pour herself into me so that we can be sustained. Thank you. I like that word, the overflow. Everybody should be receiving from the overflow. But nobody can last off a quarter of a glass. Nobody can. You want to be where y'all are established in the flow and the water of God, and the thing is flowing, so that when y'all as a ministry, as a family go out there, people are receiving the overflow. That's why marriages are not being a blessing. They don't have enough in the tank. Both parties are burnt out. Both people are empty. But when y'all are positioned under God, not only do you have enough for each other, but y'all have enough for the people you're supposed to flow into. Imagine how many of us, how many people would have been, how many sons and daughters would have been fully watered if we were constantly watered by God. Why you think I'm pulling back on my ministry? Man, what's ministry? It's God, myself, my immediate family, and everybody else. Listen to me, fellas. Ministry and God don't equal. Ladies, ministry and God don't equal. You and your God and your purpose don't equal. And what happens is we run over our families. We don't tend our daughters. We don't tend our sons. We don't tend our wives or our husbands. But we want to tend the Lord's work. There's a difference between the Lord and the Lord's work. God is not going to have you work on anything for him that's going to cause the detriment of your family. But if you're single, work. That's why Paul said, man, y'all be single. Because once you get married, your attention is divided. So many of us are burning out our current relationships because of the assignment we should have finished in our single years. So many of us are burning out the person that we're with because we're still trying to work on the assignment of our single years. Before God brought Adam, God gave Adam an assignment. Many of us got an assistant in our single assignment out of God's will, and we wonder why we're burdening each other. No, finish your assignment of your single years. Get that done so there won't be no conflict of interest, because God looked at Adam and said it's no longer good for him to be alone anymore. God wasn't confused. God said, I knew he was alone, but he had me. But he said, I know from this part on, it's not good for him not to have a helpmate, someone that matches, M-A-T. Oh, no, anyone else spell right. A mate, a helpmate, because he knows when you're in your single years, your assignment of your single years strengthens you for the assignment of your married years. But so many of us, I got my single assignment and I got a wife. I got my single assignment and I got a husband, and then all of a sudden you wonder why your marriage is unbalanced. You wonder why y'all can't get nothing done, because you're trying to work on this and work on it at the same time. But she's like, got a point here. Eve wasn't called to name animals. Oh my God. Eve wasn't called to name animals. Your wife ain't supposed to help you with your single assignments. Oh my God. Your wife ain't supposed to help you with your single assignments. Your husband ain't supposed to be drained out to help you with your single assignment. In your single life, get it done so that when it's time to transition, y'all two will be able to work together on the mission that God has for y'all. She ain't supposed to help you finish something that you were supposed to finish when you were single. He ain't supposed to help you finish something that you were supposed to finish in your single years. That was for its purpose and for its time. Now it's time for y'all to accept the mission for y'all. Chemistry, if y'all come together and y'all don't match in chemistry, will explode. If y'all don't match in care, then you will be depleted and empty, and vice versa. If y'all don't match in commitment, many of us, we say these vows till death do us part, but we be departing before death. When you are matched with the one God has for it, it's easy to be committed. Now, is it always easy? No. But when you're committed to God, you don't have to worry about being committed. You don't have to worry about not being committed to the person you're supposed to be with. That's the beautiful thing about God. If you're committed to Him and you're connected to Him, you will have the right heart and the right perspective and the right understanding to be committed to the person you match. Do y'all have the same commitments? Does his commitment over here cause burden over here, but he's so attached to it, he won't change, and vice versa? Do y'all commit and care? Do y'all care one to another? Do y'all care enough? And are y'all committed in chemistry? Last but not least, the H's. The H's is, do y'all match in honor and in healing? Honor and healing. This means the people. There's nothing that bothers me more than when a man doesn't honor his wife. There's nothing that bothers me more when a woman doesn't honor her husband. As when I see dishonor in public, it's disgusting. When I see people treat the bellman improperly, treat the Uber driver improperly, treat people of service improperly, that bothers me. God cares about what you honor and who you honor. You want to be matched up with someone that honors people, because everyone's made in the image of God. Everybody may not be a converted son or daughter of God, but everybody bears His image, and everybody by default requires dignity and honor. And you don't want to be matched up with somebody that's a racist towards blacks, a racist towards whites, a classist that overlooks the poor. You want to be with someone who's honorable, because God said how you treat the least of these matter to Him. He said, have you clothed the naked? Have you gave? We're not talking about giving checks. We're talking about giving time. We're talking about really involved in the mission of God, showing honor. Because when you honor God, you'll be honorable, and you will be honorable to the people that deserves honor. And are you matched with a person who is matched with you in healing? Healing is important. Hurt people can't heal. If you're still hurt, how can you help heal her? How can you help heal them? You want to be matched with someone who is whole and who's ready to do healing. You want to match with someone who's healed themselves. And if you're not healed, don't waste somebody else's time causing bruises on them. I pray this message was a blessing, you guys. I went longer than I wanted to. I wanted to go 15 minutes and went 48. But I'm a long-winded preacher. I'm old school. But do you guys match in maturity and in mission? Do you guys match in association and acknowledgement? Do you guys match in theology and toil? Do you guys match in chemistry, care, and commitment? Do you guys match in honor and healing? Are you praying for the idea of something, or are you prepared, or are you preparing for the item and the individual? Items and individuals have nuances in them that ideology and fairy tale thinking cannot help you prepare for. So many people are fantasizing for the idea of something, and then they're stuck in that fantasy world. And then when they meet their friction and they on a ground center point of that moment in time of season transitioning, and with that person in your life, you're not able because you're in a fantasy world, but you're not in this world here. Individuals may match the idea that you have, but that person is a human being with nuances and trials and temptations and fears and failures and faults that real life prepares you for. Remember, God wants you to have an amazing life. I'm not sitting there saying amazing life means everybody's a millionaire. God ain't trying to be like Oprah and like you get a mansion. And what I mean, we're talking about on this place here. But God said, man, you're not going to be able to have an amazing life without me. If God is not at the center of your life or your relationship, that thing will die. If you and God, if you don't latch, before you catch anything, you got to make sure that you've been caught by God. Before you latch onto anything, ladies, or a person, you got to make sure that you've been latched onto by God. And I'm telling you right now, let God do the matchmaking. Is your match right now made in heaven? I pray this message was a blessing, y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I got a lot of resources. My dating prep resources are available now. You can get the dating prep game with questions to help you figure out if you guys match. You can get it at ezzygames.com. E-Z-E, E as an elephant, Z as in zebra, E as an elephant, games.com. If you want the dating prep book, it's on Amazon right now. You can actually get that book on Ezzy Games as well. That book and the games will be able to help you really process your relationship and help you ask certain questions. The book Dating Prep is actually a workbook/book. So all the questions that's in the game is actually in here too, to kind of give you reasons on why you should ask that question and why that question is a benefit. Get it for your husband, get it for your wife. It's not just for single people. It's a date night resource for every stage of the relationship. That means you and your husband, y'all go on dates. It's a resource for you guys to take together, journal y'all's experience, and when with the answer to the questions, y'all grow together. I pray those resources will be a blessing to you guys. If you want to give, there's links down below for those on YouTube. You can give there. Help us with our adult coaching programs. We're launching back August 5th, and our mentoring programs are going on year 3. This is year 3 of Propel starting in January. So we need your support and help to help us make sure that we take care of those babies. We've been mentoring 80 kids so far. So next year we're probably going to be around 120 or so, maybe 140, 150. But we'll love your support and help there. I think that's it. Books, games, donations. Feel free to share, comment below. I love you guys. Be blessed.